Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the mtgzuby podcast. My name is Zuby, and if you're brand new to this show, the show is all about a little well-known card game called Magic: The Gathering. So on today's show, we brought on none other than Rachel Weeks of the Command Sphere podcast, and she also is part of a D&D stream called Better Than Heroes. We brought her on to discuss her, stand-up comedy and what it's like doing the podcast, her experience on game nights, as well as we talked a lot of Commander. Just a lot of Magic and just everything else under the sun. So before we begin, let's get a little bit of announcements out of the way. If you want to help support the show, you can help support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/magicwithzuby. And you can reach out to me on Twitter at magicwithzuby, on Instagram at magic__zuby, and you can email me with any questions you may have at mtgzuby@gmail.com. And we are, once again, as always, sponsored by cardsphere.com, the best place to buy, trade, and sell your Magic singles. Very, very awesome website, great group of people, and here is Rachel Weeks. Hey everybody, Zuby here, and I am back with you all today with another awesome guest, Rachel from Command Sphere. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk about some Magic.
Yeah, so I brought you on today. Thank you for taking time out of your morning. You're about 3 hours behind me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you were just telling me right before we started that, you're in LA and things are still really locked down over there. What's it been like during this whole thing? Because the biggest thing that I keep hearing on the news and from other people, because my company's headquarters is in LA, and they, like, a lot of the people I even talk to, like some of my coworkers that live in LA, they said, like, oh, everything's been shut down. They tried to open up a little bit during the summer, then they just shut back down again. And there's been like feelings of frustration because, as I said right before we started, was Florida acts like nothing has been happening. So we were shut down a little bit, and then everything just sort of opened back up.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are worse than they've ever been, so it's definitely frustrating when it's just like people are pretty not so worried about it, because it's not better than it was in May when our numbers were terrible. But I mean, being in LA has been interesting because it definitely feels very responsive. It feels like we're shutting down and we're having safer at home orders, and we're doing all these things that you're supposed to be doing, but our numbers are still climbing. So it's tricky. I wonder if it's not enough to have the states regulated just because there's so much travel in between. But
Yeah,
maybe
that's
shutting
true.
stuff down just isn't all that effective. I mean, at this point, we have restaurants are completely closed. Bars have not been open since March.
Wow.
Retail shops have been given some, like, a little bit more leeway. They're at capacity and they have to meet certain standards. Our LGS has been open for a while and does allow some gameplay in store, but they cap, like, capacity is capped and all that. So everything's closed. But you can get used to anything.
Yeah, I bet. It's sort of like during the early times of the pandemic, the only thing that were really open around here were mainly grocery stores, and they were, had limits on how many people could go in and all that. But
Yeah, that's still happening.
it's like pretty much around June, July, things started opening up, like wide open, except for movie theaters, essentially, over here.
Yeah.
And it's still like that. And now I'm seeing more and more people not wearing masks at all, and that's what worries me the most. It's because just
For sure, it's
with the
so
amount of old
scary.
people here in Florida, it's like you think they'd be a little bit
Yeah.
smarter, you know. Um,
It's
but
it's hard because it sucks.
yeah,
It really does. It sucks, and it sucked for a long time, and people don't want to do it anymore. And
yeah,
that is as simple as it sounds. It's people don't want to do it anymore, even if it's, going to save people's lives. Um, but it's you have to really find a balance, because Like, we're not meant to just sit in our house by ourselves
Yeah.
all the time. So you have to do something, and figure out, how to make those risks safely, or take those risks safely, and protect the people that that you love, that are in your life at risk. Particularly in LA, where so much of the city is young and alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, most of my friends don't have families that are in their home. It's like them and their roommate, and that's like, you just can't hang out with your roommate for 9 months.
Oh,
You'll
I
lose
know.
it.
No, I know. It's we've been trying our best. My wife and I will try to go out at least once a month still, but it's
Yeah,
usually somewhere open. Not like, I mean, even though restaurants are open and we've been to a few restaurants, I still don't feel the most comfortable in them. But if it's like an outdoor eating area, I'll feel better, because they're usually pretty spread apart. But so that kind of leads to a question. I know you were recently just on game nights.
Before
Yes.
we transition to the next thing, I'm sorry. Should I be recording anything on my end, or am I okay?
No, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah.
Okay, good. Sorry to.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I should have mentioned that. Yeah, you don't.
Sure.
Yeah, you don't need to be recording anything on your end.
Right.
But what I want to mention was, you were just recently on game nights, and with this whole pandemic going on, and I don't know if you can talk about it or not, but what was the preparation for that like? Did you all have to get tested
Sure.
for it, or like before you could
So
show up on
that's
set?
pretty typical. That's pretty typical in LA. Like, process to get on set is just everybody's tested within the week of it.
Okay.
And then when you're off camera, you're all wearing masks and you're distanced and doing what you can. But the city of Los Angeles is based on exactly studios and sets and in-person stuff. So that is the process that people have gotten used to, is just making sure you're tested very regularly and right before you get on set, and then being
Okay.
safe while you're on set. So, it's we did our best to let the show go on and all that, but yeah.
So that was your first time on there, right? On game nights?
It was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did they mention at all, like, had they had to change anything the way they have to do because of the pandemic, that you know of?
That I know of, no. I mean, we wore masks on set, and the crew wore masks, and we got tested beforehand and all that. But as far as I know, they're sort of business as usual.
Okay.
But they're in a very, like, tight-knit community, so
Yeah.
it's like you keep a close eye on it.
Oh yeah. It's not like it's a big Hollywood set or something like that where there's hundreds and hundreds of
It's,
people.
it's very limited.
Yeah. So switching to game nights here real quick. What was that experience like? Was it fun? Was it enjoyable?
It was incredible. I mean, it was such it was so insane to be, like, I got a message from Josh Lee Kwai on Twitter, and I was like, what? When I've been playing Commander a few years. I started right around Ixalan, and the reason I started playing Commander specifically, rather than the 60 card pile that we were playing, is because of game nights. I found it online, watched it, and was like, this is the format we should be playing. I mean, we're already doing casual multiplayer games, but this at least has rules. So my whole playgroup switched over to Commander because of game nights. And then when you get to be on set and you get, I got to play with Joe, who's one of my friends. It was an incredible experience. And our game, of course, was awesome. It was exactly what you want a Commander game to be.
No, that's awesome. It's awesome to hear. Now, how long did the actual recording take for that?
We were there most of the day.
Oh, okay.
And that's just shooting the game and recording reactions and getting set up. And the game goes very slowly because you have to be very clear and precise about when and how you move things. So it doesn't, it's not as relaxed as a regular Commander game, but.
Oh, that's cool. So you've been, you started this podcast with Dan Sheehan, Is that I'm saying it
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The Command Sphere podcast. How did that come to be? Like, how did that brainchild start?
Oh, I got Dan back into comedy or got back into comedy, into magic as soon as I moved to Los Angeles. Because I moved from Denver, I moved away from my play group, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to build a new play group. And I started with comedians that I know had played, and so I sort of dragged Dan back into magic, and he jumped in with 2 feet. We were watching a ton of content, and we were like, nobody's doing just this extreme focus on like jokes and just like making it just fun. Like nobody comes to Commander Sphere for card recommendations necessarily.
Yeah.
It's just because we're fun to listen to, which is great. It takes a lot of pressure off us and lets us sort of joke around about this thing that we love. It's interesting because it's such a niche thing to be like, we do jokes specifically about Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
And like that was never, I think I've been trying to figure out how to get it to work on stage, like doing stand-up about Magic and D&D. And I was like, you know what, this is just going to be better if we do it right to the people, so
Yeah. And it's been a big hit. You guys have been around.
Yeah.
God, when did you all start? Was it last year? Like late last year?
We're coming up on a year. December 21st was our first episode.
Oh, wow. So barely a year old, and
barely a year. Yeah.
And you guys have sort of hit the ground running with it, and that's awesome.
We get really lucky with people that were fans of the show. Spike Feeders were hugely supportive in the beginning.
Yeah.
Sheldon Menery has been insanely supportive. So we just got the bumps from the right people. And I'd been sort of making minimal Magic content just on Twitter, like regularly posting about it, and had developed a little bit of a following at that point. So we had like sort of just enough of the backup to get moving with it. And we were very lucky. It's been great.
That's awesome. Now, has it been, for the podcast itself, is it just you two working on it? Is there anyone else behind the scenes that works on it as well, or?
Nope, it is just us two. Our friend Cameron made the theme song, and he's a comedian out of Chicago and wrote an incredible theme song for us, and we have a plug song as well. And that is, we keep it pretty small for now. Dan does the editing, I do all the design, and
that's awesome.
Most of it's off the cuff from there. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. It's awesome. So with you also being a stand-up comedian, how long have you been doing that for now?
Oh, I've been a comic for, oh gosh, I started right out of college. So this is 7 years, but does this year even count? Is
right.
Kind of part of it. Like I've been on stage once since March. And I've done a couple of Zoom shows, but it's
they're definitely not the same.
The same thing. No. So, yeah, it'll be 7 years in May.
Nice. Like, where have you performed before? That's any place noticeable or anything, or?
I mean, comedy clubs around the country. I've done a couple of like little TV spots. I've done a number of big comedy festivals. I started performing in Des Moines. So I was in Des Moines for a year, and then I moved to Denver. I spent 3 or 4 years in Denver, and I've been in LA for 2. So, and then you travel. I've done a week in Atlanta. I've done shows in Indiana and in Florida, and sort of wherever they'll have you is the deal.
Any noticeable comedians you've worked with before?
I regularly worked at Comedy Works, so sort of whoever came through. I got to open for Kurt Braunohler, who's one of my favorites, and Jessica Kierson, who's a wonderful comedian out of New York. I opened for Christopher Titus. I opened for boy, my brain sure isn't.
That's all right.
Isn't coming up with the list. But yeah, like it's when you work at a club, I would like multiple times a week. I got to open for a number of pretty cool people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, I mean, is that still sort of your passion? Like, still trying to break into comedy, stand up, especially after this year?
That's a complicated question. It's a complicated question. I moved to LA to not necessarily perform, but to write. And comedy was going to be sort of my back door. But the question is if that door even exists anymore. So at this point, most of my energy goes less into stand-up and goes more into, I have a live play D&D game that's on Mondays, and then the Commander Sphere, of course, and just making whatever I can with all the windows rolled up.
Oh, man. So, I mean, what does it even look like for you? Like, let's say the pandemic ends tomorrow, right? Things open back up. You know, what does that look like for you as a stand-up comedian? You know, is it something that you're wanting to get back into? And, you know, you mentioned you want to, like, try to get into writing. Is that still something you're trying to break into as well with all this?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a question. I don't really know. Stand-up is going to be in a totally different place. I think when things open, especially in Los Angeles, there's going to be a lot fewer indie opportunities and a lot more just sort of big famous people who want to do stand-up again, and they're going to get all the stage time that they desire. Because the clubs will open fast. But like the indie shows in LA that are in, you know, the back of pizza shops, and I ran one out of an LGS and like in people's homes, it's going to be a lot slower start for that. Like all of the open mics probably have to start from scratch because you're looking at clubs everywhere are like to a real hit money wise, a lot of bars, obviously. So asking to have an open mic on their Tuesday night when things are, you know, so financially unstable is going to be a big question.
That makes I never really thought of it like that because makes sense because, you know, I listen to a lot of podcasts, you know, with stand-up comedians and all that, and that's the big thing. A lot of them are saying like, oh, as soon as this is over, I can't wait to go on tour or open up. And I guess I never thought of for someone like you who's not, you know, huge, you know, national name and all that. Yeah, it's going to be really tough for people like you.
It depends. It's possible that everything just sort of snaps back to normal. Everybody goes to the bars that were hosting them before, and we're like, all right, we're ready to resume. But we don't know if there's going to be an audience. We don't know if
it's true.
Like there's just so many variables that it's like stand-up requires S a lot, S for performers and S for space and audience. And getting those things together is not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen in 2 years or in 4 years.
That's true.
It's going to look very different on the other side. And I don't know. I think every comic is going to have to decide if that's the kind of comedy they want to do.
Oh, man. Yeah, I guess I didn't really think about that. So, you know, sort of sliding into something else here. Say when things start getting back to normal, Magic Fest start opening up. When are you, Dan, and Jason Alt going to start the stand-up magic comedian tour and all that?
I would love that. That would be incredible.
That'd be awesome.
The funny thing is like Dan and I haven't been to a Magic Fest. Our big Magic Fest was going to be in Vegas. We were going to go
this year?
August.
Yeah. So was I.
We haven't been to a fest before, so it's like we just have to get used to what those even look like.
Yeah, I know, right?
We start doing anything.
Because pretty much, I mean, Channel Fireball was one running the Magic Fest for the past 2-3 years, something like that, and they've pretty much all but dissolved the event side of the company.
I mean, they were forced to, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's nothing they could do, you know? So when that even starts coming back and what that looks like, it's it'll be interesting to see, but I think that's a great idea, you know? I mean, not for every single Magic Fest, obviously, because there's some that are just not small, but even some of the big names like Vegas, Seattle. What are some other big ones?
I know Dan and I are just like whatever we can do to like be able to put more energy into this podcast is we're excited to do. Dan and I both work full-time jobs right now, so it's like it puts a pretty serious cap on the amount of time we can put into the podcast.
Oh, I know how that feels.
Yeah, I mean, we have the full-time job, and then I do this this D&D game called Better Than Heroes, and that's with comedians as well. So it's you're get pulled in a lot of different directions, but we're doing our best to make sure we're producing the highest quality content that we can right now.
I'm glad to talk to another content creator who's got a full-time job and and just trying to do that life work, slash side business hustle and all that stuff. Oh my gosh, it is. It's like, so early on during the pandemic, I was not only doing the podcast, but I was sort of working full time. I mean, well, I was working full time, but I'm in healthcare. So like everything and a lot of what I'm in radiology. So since a lot of that's all elective surgery based, it just took a huge slowdown until about the summertime. So first couple months is I was doing nothing like at work, and I'm just like talking to my boss like, am I going to be fired or something or put on furloughed? Or it's like, no, don't worry about it. Just keep doing what you're doing. But so then I started streaming more, and then I started doing more podcasts and all that stuff, and I had more of this free time. But now that work is picking back up, it's like I'm finding it's like shit. Just the podcast alone is enough work, and I'm down to like streaming once a week now. It's like I can't keep up with it all.
It's super tough.
Yeah, it's
we're starting to stream weekly, just once a week. And it's a ton because now I'm, streaming basically as soon as work ends Monday night, and then as soon as work ends Tuesday night, and then we have to find some time to record. And then on top of that, there's, we're trying to do stuff for our patrons, and I am trying to make sure I have all the assets ready for both for D&D and for Commander Sphere, and then you like life stuff. Just being a Magic player takes up a ton of time, like upkeeping decks and finding time to play. Yeah. And my decks are a mess right now because I just haven't had the time to sit down with them and be like, okay, let's see what some of these Commander Legends cards are going to do to it.
Right. I've got like 5 or 6 commanders that I've pulled from Commander Legends that's like, I'm going to build decks, and they've just been sitting there for a couple weeks now.
You're like, when am I going to build this?
And not only that, but I play D&D as well, and I don't record any of it because I'm one of those. I'm a forever DM, and out of all the things that I have sort of performance fright over, it'd be DMing in front of people and all that. Like
it sounds terrifying.
It is terrifying. Like, even though I've been DMing for, God, it'll be like 15 years now, right? That I've been DMing, and I remember the first time I went and DM'd at an LGS with just random people I've never met before. It was terrifying because you don't know how they're going to act, and if they're pieces of crap, or if they like your style,
Yeah.
But
it's so tough. I mean, I can't even imagine doing that where it's just like a pickup game, because so much about a good D&D game is finding people who work well together.
Yeah, and who click really well, and who just work well together as a group, and trying to do that on stream is just, no, I'm good. Because I feel like I'd be forced to make it more entertaining than it probably should be. And I'm not saying that I'm not an entertaining DM. It's just more of, I don't want it to get to a point where, just like every game happens where you slow down to a crawl because, this one player wants to do this weird, wacky-ass thing, and then you got to start digging through the rules book and figure out, all right, how do I rule this?
Yeah. We're very lucky. We have a very talented DM, and he's been doing it for a long time, and is very excited to do it live, and he's very theatrical, and he's the only one out of us that isn't actually a stand-up. All of the players are stand-up comedians.
Oh, nice.
Which is even harder because we'll just drift away on some silly pun or play on words that we found. So it's But no, it's an incredible game. The guys that I play with are hilarious and very good role players. So it's honestly, it leaves me feeling like there's a lot to live up to.
Oh no, I love that's one of my favorite things is when my players are just role playing with each other and I'm just sort of sitting back as a DM just watching the whole time.
Oh yeah.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
I had a session last night, and every Friday night we usually play about 4 hours at least, and the entire session was just pure role playing. Like not a single combat encounter or anything, and just
Yeah.
is great. I love those sessions the most where there's so much like, story and exposition involved, and just I get to role play like, 20 different NPCs while they get to role play amongst themselves, and it's great. I
We
love it.
we do 2 hour episodes. We make them pretty quick.
Yeah.
Partly because that's the easiest one to schedule, but also because we like the feel of it. Like the pace is pretty quick and it feels very episodic. And we do get those full episodes that just give, you time to play. We are playing a Spelljammer inspired campaign. So a
Nice.
lot of a lot of our downtime is on a ship. And there's a few NPCs with us, and but it's a very closed world.
Yeah.
So right now we're traveling through space, but we have the players, and then we have 4 or 5 NPCs that sort of come and go, but we're all trapped on this ship together. So it's an incredible campaign. I'm lucky to be a part of it. It's so much fun.
So I know I haven't. I'll be honest. I haven't watched that show or anything or listened
Of
to it.
course, yeah, that's fine.
It's just to be honest. There's so much stuff out there. I can't keep up with it all. But I know I've
Yes.
seen you talk about it before though.
Mhm.
How long has that been going on for?
That started in the middle of quarantine as well. I
Okay.
do think
Okay.
we just had our 30th episode, so
Oh, nice.
30 weeks
Okay.
or so. So it's not super long. We passed the 24-hour mark
Okay.
a little while ago,
So
I suppose now.
and you say each
Um,
episode's about 2 hours long.
But it's been great, yeah.
That makes it easy to catch up because I'll be honest. I've
2 hours,
tried.
yeah. And all the episodes are on low. Yeah.
Sorry. I think we're a little bit of a delay here, real quick. But
I'm seeing that.
yeah. Sorry about that. But so I'm glad to hear that they're only 2 hours long because that probably makes it a little bit easier to catch up on. Because I've tried, as great as Critical Role is and all that, I've tried so hard to get into it, especially starting from the second campaign. I can't do it. It's like each episode's way too long, and I can't just focus on it.
Yeah, I love Critical Role, and I have listened to a lot of it. But it's very daunting. It's like
Yeah.
watching Star Trek for the first time. You're like, where do I start? Like it's just there's a lot of it. We've broken ours into arcs as well, so we're trying to keep it very you can watch just arc 2, and that's a consumable piece. So arc 1,
nice.
we just finished arc 1, and that has 26 episodes. And then arc 2, we sort of finished what we wanted to do in the first arc, and then we're now going on sort of a new journey.
Awesome.
It's great. Yeah, we didn't change characters or anything. It just is supposed to delineate exactly where people can jump in.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good idea. Before doing this, have you played D&D much before this?
I had done some. I done a couple of one-offs. My main campaign, I was a part of a group in Ravnica that one of my
Nice.
friends DM'd, and I got to play. I played a halfling Golgari druid.
Ooh.
She was awesome, and so I was a circle of spores druid.
Oh, that's my favorite
cool.
circle. Oh,
It was
so cool.
It was so fun. And your Golgaris, you have all these benefits of being Golgari. I had a little pet horn beetle. It was, and then we had a Gruul Minotaur, and we had a Tabaxi rogue who was into Mir. It was a ton of fun. It was the perfect transition for me into D&D because I know enough about magic, especially at that time. I was still pretty new to magic when I got in, but
Well, that's awesome.
to sort of hold your interest. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
in like the third day, we got murdered by Isperia. All of us just got straight up killed by
Oh
Isperia.
my god. What did you
And
guys
then
do?
we were his plan was the Orzhov Syndicate brought us back to life, and we were sort of tethered to them because they had our souls and all
Oh
that.
dang.
Yeah, so we were sort of murdered into the mob in like our fourth episode.
So with what did you guys do to piss off Asperia to get them to kill you?
The Orzhov was kind of the bad guys in this one.
Yeah.
Not the Orzhov. I'm sorry, Azorius.
Azorius.
The Orzhov was definitely the mob, but like it was a corrupt government situation, and Azorius was the government. I'm sure we just stuck our nose in the wrong thing. We were kind of brazen party.
That's most D&D parties.
Yeah, it was super fun, and it was very interesting specifically because Ravnica is an urban town.
Yeah.
So it's enormous, but like it's not your typical D&D campaign where you're just like wandering through the forest. It's like no, you're in a city all the time.
Mm-hmm. The whole planet is a city, which is
the whole planet's a city. Yeah, there's no wilderness really.
I mean, the only
there's like the rubble.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
To the rubble belt.
Yeah, that'd be like the only wilderness per se.
Mm-hmm,
but even then, it's just ruins essentially. But
it was also funny because our DM, excuse me, he played some magic, but he didn't know much about lore, so he would just sort of staple new characters into the story, which was hilarious if you knew who the characters were. Like he introduced Borborygmos had a brother, and his name was Lou Borygmos.
Did he turn into a Hulk or anything?
He was just like another Borborygmos. I'm sure he was like, you know what, we need another scary guy to like get in here to make us capable of fighting whatever we were fighting. And he just like copy pasted Borborygmos.
That's hilarious. That's great.
It was very funny. It was a fun campaign.
So with that being, you doing the Spelljammer game now too. Has D&D been the only sort of RPG you've dipped your toes in so far? Has there been anything else you've looked into?
Not too much. We've done a Better Than Heroes crossover with the horror stream, Stream of Blood. Mm-hmm. And they do a lot of horror RPGs. So we played Blades in the Dark with them, and cool. It was super fun. So the only other one really outside of D&D that I've played is Blades in the Dark.
You mentioned
and my friend like wrote one, and I helped him play test his. So,
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, like a little one.
You mentioned Star Trek. You should probably check out the Star Trek RPG. That's that's out there. I bought the rule book. I haven't played it or anything.
Cool. That feels very Spelljammer.
Yeah. It's I haven't played the game yet or anything. I've just read through the rule book, and it's almost like playing an episode of Star Trek, like classic Star Trek of TOS or Next Gen or something. It's it's
awesome.
It's like you can build characters that that aren't fighters or anything like that, but they're just mechanical engineer geniuses or scientists, and then you have the security guards and all that stuff. But they're pretty much built. They're stupid at everything else except fighting.
Totally.
But
you have to have those characters though.
Oh yeah. No, it looks a lot of fun. So are you big into Star Trek? Do you like it?
I haven't watched it like sort of religiously as so many Star Trek fans have. I've seen the first like 3 seasons of Next Generation.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I get the feel. This is great. And I'll watch episodes here and there, but I haven't gone through the whole library now. But It's great.
Oh, awesome. One of the new ones that I'd recommend checking out, and I was totally against it when it first came out because I'm not a big Rick and Morty fan, is the Star Trek Lower Decks. show.
I've heard it's fun.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. And like I said, I'm not big into the whole adult animation deal, but that Lower Decks was really good. Like,
Good to know.
definitely worth checking out. So man, it's been quite a year for this
Uh-huh.
whole God, it's been craziness. We actually got to play together at Command Fest. Was it last weekend or 2 weekends? I think it was last weekend.
Last weekend,
Yeah,
yeah. Hmm.
and
Oh, it was so fun. That was such a fun
yeah,
game.
that was great. I loved dying to infinite hippos. That was the greatest.
That is Feldergriff is one of my oldest decks, and it has sort of taken many forms. It started as a basic copy and paste from the Commander's Quarters Feldergriff. And it's drifted a long way from there into what is now significantly less a group hug deck and much more just sort of a sit back and don't die until you can combo deck. But it still has it has to have enough elements of group hug. It has to have enough of what you expect to see from a Feldergriff deck.
Right, yeah, because I was not expecting.
The benefit of the
I was not expecting some infinite combo, we're all dead type thing.
Yeah.
But that whole game, it just felt at some point, it just felt like we were all at a stalemate. Like if I go and attack, total MTG, that leaves me wide open for Dan to come at me, and then vice versa. And all that, and I couldn't attack you because you had the Ghostly Prison.
I had the Ghostly Prison, yeah.
Which, even if I did spend the mana to attack you, then it just leaves me wide open for the other two, and I'm all like, oh,
right.
God. That was a tough game.
That was a tough game. We got into this spot where the ground was just so gummed up, and I think I expected, Total didn't have a ton of great attacks, but I think I expected more aggro out of that Walls deck. He was playing Arcades, the strategist, and I was a little bit worried about it just because.
Well, yeah, he built his walls up fast.
Yeah, well, and then the Ghostly Prison was sort of all that stood between me and a whole lot of damage. So, but the Feldergriff deck is very interesting. You have to pilot it in sort of just the right way. You have to distribute hippos in a way that's obviously it almost got us killed. One of our patrons, Drunks, paid $100 to wipe the board in response to a crater hoof.
That was that was basic. I was ready to go to game 2 because that ended pretty quickly at that point.
It ended very quickly. I mean, Dan's Azusa deck is very interesting because it has so many little silly cards that you're just like, what? I haven't seen this card in forever, but it still needs a win con.
Yeah.
So it still wins with Crater Hoof sometimes, and it just went exactly off in that game. He felt so bad because he was like, I didn't mean just to go off. It's a charity game. I don't want to just hoof everybody.
Oh no, but I mean that stuff happens. So though. It's
that's Commander.
Yeah, I can tell you, me and because I've worked with Total for years now, and we both started Magic content creation around the same time. He and I both started when there wasn't a whole lot of people doing content creation and all that. So he and I talked after the game, we weren't mad or anything. We were just we were kind of expecting, okay, we're gonna go to game 2 and all that, and but he was saying the same thing that I am. That if he were to attack, there were no good attack options for him because he didn't have ways to, keep surviving or something like that. Because it's
for sure the ground was really gummed up.
Yeah, but it was a fun game.
And I mean that's kind of what Feldergriff does. I used to run Sidar in the deck to make the hippos unblockable.
Ooh.
To encourage a little bit more combat there.
Ooh, you should have ran him so I could start mutating my hippos.
Well, it's based on power, so you wouldn't be able to swing with the big guys. But it makes it so things with power 2 or less can't be blocked unless they have flying. I think so. So the hippos can only be blocked by flyers. It essentially gives them flying, but it's worded weird.
Makes sense.
And I ended up cutting it just because the deck relied a little bit. It became less of a forced combat deck, and it became more of a like a keep the attention off me until I can do the thing. Which I'm not very comfortable playing combo decks. That's not like I have two decks that go infinite, and one is my Feldergriff deck, which is like a 4-piece combo.
Yeah, I noticed it was quite a few pieces.
Yeah, it's a very tricky thing to put together. And then the other one is my Rakdos deck, which is like a fairly fast deck. It's like designed to be a higher power level. But I've always sort of been okay with Feldergriff being an infinite combo deck because it's funny and it's complicated and it involves like all of these things that you're just like it's not like you can interact at any moment if you have anything that you can stop. There's a lot of permanence, so that's one that I've sort of learned to be cool with. But it changed a lot when Karuga became the companion.
Oh, so and
I was mostly for comedy reasons as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely like the deck, and especially when you were putting together the combo pieces, I had no idea what you were doing, and that was the great part.
The fact that you have to be like, it's like Treetop Village is one of the combo pieces, and Dingus Staff is one of my favorites. To be fair, the deck got a lot worse when I had to take out Suture Priest.
Oh, okay.
Suture Priest sort of was the guy. And now my only win con is like to resolve a board wipe with the Dingus Staff, or it's the Selesnya Silvala. You can deck the table.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's a mess, but it comes together more than you would think it does.
It was definitely fun to play against. It's one thing I noticed at because that was my second time playing Command Fest. I played like back in the summer with Channel Fireball, and I brought to what I thought, like, because we all agreed upon that we were all gonna play like more casual-esque decks. So I brought my casual mono green Grun deck, and while everyone else was playing, like my table was, I had Olivia, Aaron Campbell, and Graham Stark. And, Olivia's playing some crazy ass combo. She milled herself, killed herself deck. And then Aaron's playing, of course, Muldrotha, aka Dredge, essentially. I think Graham Stark's playing Tree Folk, and here I am with just mono green boring beast. And I'm just like, oh, y'all are like playing really good decks. I should have brought one of my good ones. So this time I brought my Otrimi, my Sultai, because I'm like, it's strong, but it's not too strong, right?
Yeah, and it's fun. I think Mutate is really interesting.
I love that mechanic. It's so much fun. It's a lot harder on paper than it is compared to Arena, because Arena
for sure.
Arena just does it all for you. I don't have to think about it. With the on paper, it's like shit. I got to remember all my triggers. And especially that's the type of deck you don't want to play when you're tired either. It's just way too much to remember.
There's so much, and like all the little things that get confused with Mutate that you have to be so careful with some of those. But Otrimi is a very cool one. I don't know if I think that was my first Otrimi deck. Usually if I play against Mutate, it's the graveyard guy.
Oh, Brokos, I think.
Brokos, yeah.
Yeah. I just like Otrimi because he looks happy. So
he's such a cutie.
Yeah. I mean, I know Brokos technically is the better commander, but I don't care.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
It's no, you have to find the commander that just feels right.
Yeah.
I'm going through this phase right now where I'm really weeding through a lot of my decks and trying to figure out which are the ones that are kind of going the distance for me and which are the ones that are going to take a back seat or that I can pull some of the pieces out of to build something new. Because we just sort of reached a critical mass where I'm not gonna if it's not fitting in my case, I don't think I can build any more decks.
No, I know what you mean. I've been there. I just took apart like 4 or 5 decks just to this past week, because it
Yeah.
just decks that, like, I enjoyed playing them, but I'm like, they're kind of like a one trick pony where it's like they're always going to do the same thing over and over again. It's just like, all right, I'm done.
Right. It's one of those things where if you really love the thing, then it can stay. But if it the decks that have really gone I've kept around longest are the ones that keep you in the game for me. Like
Hmm.
right now I have an Orzhov Kraven Regna deck. I've had it for a long time. And that's the one that's been on the chopping block for the longest because I think it just has the most moments where I just feel like there's no way I can win.
Yeah.
Where like if the commanders have been killed twice and like there's been more than 2 board wipes, the deck is just done. And I've been sort of trying to either make sure my decks are built to be more resilient than that, or
Yeah.
just they can pivot into another plan a little bit easier. So it's interesting. I'm trying to figure out how to build like a lower power deck that doesn't feel like you're out if something happens.
Yeah, and I feel like that's been a challenge that I've been learning, especially this year, because I've been streaming EDH like early on in the pandemic when Spell Table was virtual EDH, and and when I first started playing, because before this whole thing, like I only had a few decks, but they were all like optimized to the max, and that was because I came
Sure.
from a very competitive play group and face to face. And so I would have to build up to even stand a chance against them. So when I first started playing with a lot of the people on my Discord, I was just wiping them back and forth, and I'm all like, "Oh crap, this isn't fun," because
Yeah.
they're not having fun. So that's been a
You
real,
really
yeah, it's been a challenge, like learning not to optimize every single deck, but still make it decent enough to still play.
right. And like the more streaming that you do, the more groups that you play with, the wider variety of decks that you need.
Yeah.
Like right now I rarely play Rakdos just because he's certainly not CDC EDH, but he's at the top of casual EDH. And I've gotten a lot of play out of I have a silly Riku 7 Dwarves deck. That's not good. It's not a good deck,
Yeah.
but it's trying to do one thing and it's trying to do it in a really silly, it's a fun deck to watch for the most part. But figuring out how to make that deck fun as like a joke and also fun to play it's been a very delicate balance. So it's interesting what decks sort of get pulled out the most. Feldergriff comes out because it's very flexible and it sort of can play at a number of power levels. It'll get stomped if anybody's doing anything super quick, but it's like a reactive, and you can help the person who's behind, and it leaves more room to adjust.
Yeah.
But the more powerful decks I have are that I would play at my LGS, where our power level is actually quite high. Just aren't really seeing the play right now.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like, probably my 2 best decks are Crewfix, God of Horizons, and that was my very first EDH deck, and I can't get rid of my baby. He's my baby.
Yeah, of course.
and Grand Arbiter.
Top end of Crewfix is yeah, sure. So yeah, less fun to watch on stream.
Oh, well, I've played it on stream, and dear God, the last time I played it, I think I've only played it like 3 times on stream, and the last time I played it, I wanted to kill myself because it was just just ungodly. Like I was feeling.
Is it like a prison deck? What's the goal?
It's a very hard control deck, and I'm just not gonna allow anyone to do anything I don't want. I don't lock anyone out from playing anything, but I'm gonna stop you from doing everything you want to do. And the win con is mainly casting Approach of the Second Sun.
Sure, yeah, that'll do it.
And but that deck came that was born out of my LGS's meta because there were just so many combo decks going on at the time. I'm like, nope, y'all aren't gonna have any more fun.
I'm gonna figure out. Yeah, I'm gonna pack my deck with interaction, and you're gonna figure out how to play something else.
Yeah,
yeah, it's interesting. Our meta is, I wouldn't say it's all combo decks, but it's a lot of there's a few of them, and one of it, Joe Johnson, who was on Game Nights with me, is actually one of the stronger multiplayer players at the LGS. So when you're playing against Joe, you just sort of know to bump up power level. But
yeah.
He's not a combo player. He's an aggro player. So all of his decks are these like big mana Gruul decks. Like his main deck is not Saskia. It's Naya. She gives everything haste. Samet.
Yeah, Sam. Oh, she's so good.
She's so powerful. So his classic deck is a Samet deck that we just know that it's like, if you don't keep your boot on Joe, he's gone. But it's not a combo deck. He's just gonna it's just an overrun type of deck where you're like, in 2 turns he'll have a board and we'll all be dead. Man. So it's very interesting.
I built a deck, an aggro deck that was too good by accident for stream one time. It was a Boros deck, and I'm thinking, oh, it's not going to be too bad. It's Boros. I'm pretty, so you board wipe me, I'm dead, and all that kind of stuff. I'm, whatever. And the deck, it was Winota Allies.
Yep.
And I know Winota's a good card, but I'm like, I didn't think all the ally synergy would be so freaking good with Winota, and I'm just like,
yeah.
Like by turn 5 or 6, I had like almost 100 life on board, and I'm just like, oh fuck. I'm sorry, guys.
That's the interesting thing about aggro is when you build. So we talk about aggro as if it's a very it's not a good strategy in EDH, right? Because it's very it's breakable, and there's no you spend more. Like the goal is to be fast. And then when you finally have a good, powerful aggro deck, the table hates it because it's designed to go fast, and you figured out how to, but you want to be able to play it.
Yeah.
With these decks that go to, when we talk about power level in EDH, you talk about how many turns it can win in, right? So 8 to 10 is like the casual ideal.
Yeah.
But an 8 to 10 aggro deck would win earlier because that's what aggro does, is it's supposed to get under. So it feels worse when you're playing a powerful aggro deck. I think.
Because the other players don't get to do what they wanted to do, and
right, which is what aggro is designed to do in dual if you're playing 2 people, right? Is to you go faster so everybody else doesn't get to do their thing.
Yep.
So it's very tricky. It finds itself in
an
this
interesting
sort of
dichotomy.
Spot because everybody says it's bad, but when it's good, it's really good, and it feels bad.
Yeah.
Like in Game Night specifically, I took out Joe pretty early, and then Josh and I teamed up against Jimmy to take him out when he was a low life total. And it feels sort of like you're stepping on somebody when they're down, but when you're playing aggro, you just have to.
Yeah.
You just have to take the player out because if they find an answer, you're done. You're done.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're essentially a glass cannon, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For every person you remove 7 cards that can interrupt what you're doing. So it's when it's good, it doesn't feel fun to play against. But Winota's one of my favorite cards that's come out in a long time. I have a Winota dual commander deck, and that's my baby right now.
You have a what Winota deck?
I play our store plays dual variant of dual commander.
Dual commander. Okay.
Dual, yes, DUEL.
All right.
So it's efficient commander decks that win turn 4 or whatever.
Yeah, she is crazy good. It's ridiculous.
She's nuts.
Yeah,
It's
they just need to isn't she banned in standard right now or something, or
she's banned in Brawl, certainly.
oh banned in Brawl.
They banned a lot of the pieces that went with her
Oh
in
yeah,
standard.
that's right.
They didn't ban her explicitly. So right now there aren't there isn't a human to wheel into that I think people think is worth it.
Maybe in Kaldheim
but
or something.
There are some fringe Winota decks that are in standard. It's just not the top of the heap right now.
Yeah, I kind of stopped following the standard meta as soon as Omnath came out, and I know they banned Omnath and all that, but I'm like, ugh.
They got there.
Man, I love you, Wizards, but come on, why is every single new set coming out standards breaking? It's like it never used to be like this. Like I've been playing, like I started Magic back in 1996, but I didn't really start playing standard itself until when Return to Ravnica came out back in 2012, I want to say. And, so I've seen a lot of standards and all that, but in standard, I mean, standards always had, the boogeyman decks where, stuff has been really strong and all that, but it's never felt like this broken before. Like with every new set coming out, something is just completely broken and warps all of Magic. Like Companions is a good example. Never before something like a mechanic like that just warped all of Magic really badly, and it's just...
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love these powerful cards, It's just...
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Well, I think it's truly because of Commander. The cards have to scale to a multiplayer format, and they're just pushing things just enough that they will break their bread and butter. Like, Omnath in multiplayer is good, but he's... fine. Like,
yeah, I mean,
he's as good as 4-color landfall is, which is fairy. But like he's not breaking anything specifically. But when you take that card and you scale it down and put it in a 20 life format, you ruin it.
Yeah, and I mean, same goes for Oko, Fires of Invention,
of course,
Teferi, Nexus of Fate, all that stuff.
Oh man, Nexus of Fate was a real blunder because it was, they only printed it as a buy a box promo, so it was like a bajillion dollars.
Yeah, that was.
Well, Nexus of Fate with, I mean, you shouldn't have instant speed extra turn spells. Is what it is.
Yeah, because we'll print it at 7 mana. That's too expensive, right? No.
Not with Wilderness Wreck.
Right, not with Wilderness Wreck, and not when you have something like Growth Spiral as well too,
yeah. And that was the last format standard that I played in pretty regularly was when Wilderness Wreck
that was Ravnica Allegiance.
Nexus of Fate was biggest, and I was like, this sucks.
Yeah, that was.
Now if I play on Arena, I'm playing Brawl these days.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still play Arena. I mainly play Historic though. And I find that a little bit more fun because as they're starting to put in the older cards and all that, it's a little bit more fun for me. But yeah, I haven't even touched Arena. Like ever since the new World of Warcraft expansion came out, I haven't touched Arena in like weeks. I know it's my friggin' addiction. That's the one game that I can't seem to quit it. I can't quit you. Wow.
Yeah.
I've been.
That is one I have stayed away from just because I know what would happen. I mean, and I don't have time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm way better about it than I was like, 10 years ago and all that stuff. Like where I would just play it or consume my life, but it's just, and plus it's a lot more casual nowadays where you can spend like 1 to 2 hours and boom, you're done with everything. But that's also coming from a player who's played since the very beginning. So I can only imagine, like, say someone like you got sucked into it, like you never experienced 16 years worth of content and all that, just everything you want to see. So it's
yeah. I played a little bit when I was a kid. My cousin was really into it, and she's like, just come and play a little bit. And I played, and I was at the computer like every day at her house, and I was like, I can't do this. Yeah. I will never leave my computer. But I also, I stayed away from Magic for a long time because of that. Because I was like, that'll be a problem. And then as soon as I started, it's been 3 years, and I have like I work for Channel Fireball, and I have a podcast, and I like that's all I do. So
like, and you're deep
that's the
into
kind of person I am, though.
Yeah, you're deep into WotC now. You can not just
Yeah,
Magic,
right.
but now D&D as well too. It's
Yeah, exactly. I
I,
have all my
I'm
money in the Wizard's basket.
that I'm sort of the same way because I've also got a little companion podcast that I do once in a while. I call it RPG Companion, where I'll talk about D&D, and sometimes I've interviewed some D&D content creators. Like I interviewed Ruben Bressler about his show Broken Pact. Broken Pact, yes. And then I also interviewed this other writer, Matthew Cordley. God, I'm so terrible at remembering names. He works for. Have you ever heard of Kobold Press?
No.
Kobold Press is a company. They do a lot of supplemental D&D stuff. Nothing official, but they're pretty big in the whole like third party sphere of D&D content. They have probably their most popular works are the extra monster manuals they've made, like Tomb of Beast or Monster Codex, and I have them, and holy crap, they're some like as a DM, like they have some awesome monster ideas that I love running. So
that's awesome. I'm sure. I've never DM'd. I'm always just sort of along for the ride. So the literature is not something I have dived into too much. I own the Player's Handbook, and I will mess around online a little bit, but and most of what we play is homebrewed. So like I play a Thri-kreen, which is based on
the Mantis.
A homebrew.
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, the Mantis people. Those were actually they're not officially in 5th edition, but they were in they're in one of the older editions of D&D. I can't remember which one.
Yes. Yeah, there's a 5e homebrew that's I sent to my DM, and he was like, okay, we're going to do all this, but we're going to cut like a couple of these things out of it.
Yeah.
And I just sort of purposefully didn't play a monk because they were just insane with monks. So,
oh yeah, because they have 4 arms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would
so
be
all the extra, like you can already get a lot of extra attacks with a Thri-kreen on its own, and then if you add in all of like the monk stuff
and the key points and all that, ooh.
Yeah. So I'm
damn.
It's spicy. So I ended up playing a fighter, and it's been really fun.
Oh,
and I'm a two-handed weapon fighter, and I use a pole arm. So
what's your subclass?
I still get a lot of extra attacks. I am a psionic knight.
Ooh, that's one of the new ones, right? From the
it's one of the new ones, and it goes really well with Thri-kreen that already have like you can already take a psionic ability feat.
Ooh.
So I have like a little bit of magic. Like it's little basic stuff, but it comes in handy because we have a couple of little guys that if they get hit is a big problem. So.
That's awesome. So I haven't gone through all of the Tasha's Cauldron of everything, but the one class I have been through is the fighter, the Rune Knight and the Psi Knight. Oh man, I gotta say, like those look so much fun. I'm playing an Echo Knight right now on my Sunday game, and Echo Knight is so much fun.
This one, I was playing. I mean, I was playing a druid before, so I'm sorry, my computer's gonna die. Let me.
Oh no, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, so just in case anybody is watching the audio, she's just having to plug in her computer real quick. So
yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Just letting people know who aren't watching the video. I mean, I get more audio downloads. It's just YouTube. I've got a small dedicated fan base who loves watching the YouTube videos, but it's majority of my downloads are from audio. It's I mean that's how I started off, so
yeah.
It's I took away the YouTube channel one time because I'm like, I'm done. It's too much work, and then I got like a few emails like what the heck? I was watching. I'm like, I get like 20, 30 views on my on each episode. So I'm like, what's the point? And they're like, no, we love it. Like, okay, fine. So I'm like, just for you people, I'll put it on there. It's like
so we're trying to figure out if we need to transition into doing YouTube stuff. Obviously, now is the hardest time to do it because we can't record together. And typically Dan and I would record. I'd go to his house and we'd record there.
Yeah.
So now, like, we're already trying to figure out how to make everything work. So I think maybe once things recover, we'll think about doing some more video content. But it's a whole another monster.
Oh my God. Yeah. YouTube's like a whole nother thing. It's like, when it comes to the podcast audio stuff, it's okay, get it up there. Make sure you get your RSS feed on every single platform you can think of to get it out as, wide out as you can. Even like some podcast platforms I've never heard of. I'm like, sure, whatever. Maybe there's that one random person out there that'll only listen to it on, Hitbox or something or whatever it's called.
For sure. You got to be there.
And then, then it's just the whole social media game. You got to get it out there. So, and then YouTube is like the whole algorithm thing. I'm like, whatever. I don't care that much about it.
We're just getting into Twitch. I think we're gonna figure out Twitch and then we'll go to YouTube after that. So
yeah, Twitch is a whole nother monster. It's like when I think of content creation and how, there's the Magic YouTubers and there's the Magic streamers, and yet they're so different, like in terms of like what you have to do in order to like become successful and all that. And and after doing a lot more streaming than I ever have this year, I can safely say I do not want to be a streamer.
It's a ton of work.
Oh my gosh.
It's a lot. I'm still getting used to like streaming alone. Because like I do this a lot. I play D&D. Like I was like, I know how to stream, and then you do like one box break, and it's just you, and you're like kind of talking to chat, but it's just empty in your headphones.
Yeah, and
that is something I'm still getting used to.
And even if you don't have a lot of people coming in, watching you, and you're just, and let's say you've got people watching you, but none of them are chatters, right? And you're just having to keep talking about the game, and you're just like, it's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
Try to keep up that energy.
The people who are good at it are incredible, and the people who and then you can see the people who are not as good at it, and you're like, okay, like I understand why. Like we watch a lot of LSV videos, particularly like Louis Scott Vargas doing Vintage Cube a lot. And he is a very gifted streamer. He's obviously a very gifted Magic player, but in terms of just like entertainment, and he explains everything, and he's always talking, and he switches back and forth from why we keep this hand to, I made a pot roast this weekend, back into this. It's very difficult, and it's cool watching it just be done really well.
Yeah, I think one of the key parts of that is he kind of knows what he's talking about. That's the real thing. It's like when I try to stream Arena, like try to talk my plays. Yeah, I'm playing this lightning bolt because I don't know, try and win, I guess, or something.
Yeah, you get 3 damage and seems good.
Yeah, whatever. I'm totally not thinking about the larger aspects of the play because I'm not competitive like that anymore. Like I tried getting in competitive Magic and thinking like that, but that made me start hating the game. Like I really started hating Magic because it's just, you become so consumed by it.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because he's partly a good streamer because he's a good Magic player, but being a good Magic player certainly doesn't make you a good streamer. I mean,
sure.
There's so many pro streamers that you watch and you're like, you were very good at this game, but you haven't said anything in 4 minutes, and you really have to.
I think what really helps, like even with me streaming and probably definitely what helps with LSV is doing this podcast, interviewing people, like learning how to talk to them back and forth. And also, he does the commentating as well too. It's like,
of course,
that takes a lot of practice and a lot of work to even just get good at that. So,
and so much knowledge.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Of the game. It blows my mind. It's cool. It's been fun. It's been fun watching. I am not a competitive player. I play this one very small competitive format, and it's possible that I would try at some point, but I've got enough on my plate right now.
Right. Yeah. Because
than trying to learn how to do a whole new other format.
Yeah, that was the thing that really started turning me off with pro Magic or just competitive Magic, I'd say. Because trying to like break myself in there, because, you know, I was the type of guy who, you know, I'd be the local FNM hero, you know, like, yeah, I've 4-0'd plenty of FNMs and all that and done decently well at the mid-level, like IQs and PPTQs and all that. And just like getting prepped for a GP or something like that, the amount of work that I would have to do to get ready. I did it like once or twice for a few tournaments, and I'm all like, I don't want to do this. Like, I can't imagine doing this over and over again, because every competitive player I've ever talked to who says as soon as they have spiked a tournament and done really well, they don't even take time to celebrate. They're just right on to the next tournament and practicing for that. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I don't want to be like that.
It's a whole different kind of Magic. It blows my mind.
Yeah,
I've been really enjoyed playing Archon, because it's such a small format that it does allow you to brew a little bit still. Like, your deck is still very personal and it's singleton, so like these little choices that you make are you know, things that you can adjust to your meta, or you can adjust to your play style, and I like that it still allows that flexibility. Whereas when, you know, if you're playing a modern deck, you're playing pretty much one of the 12 modern decks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's the list you play with. So I have liked that there's still some room for creativity in this format, even if it's it does sort of end up being a good stuff pile.
Yeah.
And that's just, your deck just has to be efficient, you know. And I have 3 Archon decks right now, and which sounds like a lot because there's like 50 Archon players in the United States. But 22 of them are at our store. So
oh wow.
Yeah, we had a pretty big Archon tournament.
So for people who may not know, what's Archon? Like, if it's that small, you know, hey, maybe we'll get one extra person into.
It's awesome. So there's 1v1 Commander, which is a format on Arena. This is a 30 life format, and that has one ban list. When 1v1 went to 30 life, that was when they adjusted up to 30 life, the format split. And it split into 1v1 and dual commander. So dual commander is sort of the big half of it. It's a 20 life format, and it has a certain ban list. And then there was a recent ban in dual commander that was made by sort of dual commander is biggest in like France and Germany.
Yeah.
And in the UK. So all of these formats are biggest overseas. There was a big decision made by a number of the French players to ban a lot of cards, including a lot of staples. And when that happened, that format severed, and that left Archon. So Archon is essentially dual commander with a much shorter ban list. Is what it is. So I call it dual commander because it's you can recognize it.
Yeah.
But technically we play by an Archon ban list.
Okay.
And it's just like fast-paced commander basically, and you get to play, you know, all the cards that I wouldn't play in multiplayer. Like, I have 3 decks. One of them is Winota, which is, you know, fast-paced Boros aggro, and that's probably my strongest Archon deck. And then I have an Azusa deck.
Gross.
Which is gross. Yeah. It's so much fun.
Sounds fun.
It's just hard cast Eldrazi.
Dang. Like hard ramp into Eldrazi. It's
a lot of tutoring. The deck is really hard to play because there's so many lines for it. So one of the lines is Primetime Field of the Dead. One of the lines is Merit Lage combo. And then the other one is Cast an Ulamog, or an Emrakul. So
Aeon's Torn Emrakul banned in that one, or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Big Emrakul is banned.
Okay.
This is their 13 drop Emrakul
Yeah.
with the
Baby
take a
Emrakul.
turn Emrakul.
Yeah.
And then my third deck is Duretti, and it's just stacks and land destruction. It's nasty.
Oh, gross! I hate land
it wins
destruction.
with like Mindslaver. Like but it's this deck that I would never be able to play this in EDH because it's awful.
Yeah.
So it's fun to like, I own a Devastation. Like, it's fun being able to cast these big dumb red spells.
That sounds gross.
And it's taught me how to play competitively. It's taught me how to build competitively, and just sort of learn how to play a 20 life format, which I hadn't really done before this.
Yeah, no, that sounds interesting. I don't think I've ever tried any of the dual commander variants before. No, I mean, I've done one-on-one commander, which is my regular commander decks, but never any of the dual variants or anything.
It's very interesting. It's funny how things change, just because you have to. It's singleton, so you just can't rely on one thing too much, unless you're playing a combo deck. But then if you're playing a combo deck, you're just playing stack of counterspells, and or not counterspells, tutors, and you're probably playing like Kenrith, like you're playing, or Golos, just to get access to all the tutors that you can.
Yeah.
It's been wild, but something new.
So hopefully someone out there that's listening, you are now the 51st person.
Come play Archon with us.
Archon.
Play Dual Commander. It's basically the same.
So
we just allow you to have a wasteland.
Yeah, where can people really play that online? Is it just mainly Magic Online right now, or?
It's not even available on Magic Online.
No, I know. It's what?
It's not even available on Magic Online. So we play on Cockatrice, or we play on
okay.
I know.
Yeah.
I play mostly in paper. I don't really play it online. Just our store was looking for some kind of replacement, not a replacement, but something that felt competitive, but you got to play sort of in a legacy card pool.
Yeah.
And our legacy group, which just wasn't super supported at our LGS for some reason.
Yeah.
So that's how we kind of slipped into this. People will say it's like a singleton legacy, but really only in the card pool.
Yeah. I used to play in Cockatrice back in the day. It's my favorite thing about that program was the filtering of the cards. Like, just being able to search for anything. And that was before Scryfall. Like, now that Scryfall's around, it's right. I don't really use it, but
it's obsolete. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my favorite. That's how I built a lot of commander decks, was just searching the whole card database of,
that makes sense. Yeah.
The random stuff out there. And I kind of miss those days of, like, before pre-EDH Rec and Scryfall and, all these database of commander decks. And I'm not saying, like, any of that stuff is bad, because it's great that, hey, if there's some cards I can't figure out what's good for a commander, boom, I can just go to a site. But I kind of miss the exploration part. But then it also saves me a bunch of time. I don't have to go through that anymore.
Yeah. I love the building aspect of it, and I definitely like finding weird cards and weird interactions, and that's why, like, Commander is my favorite still. Is just like, all right, well, how can we make these two weirdos work together? And so I kind of love. I feel like most of the time, if I go to EDH Rec, I'm just going to see if I found something new.
Yeah.
Like, I don't spend too much time on EDH Rec anymore. Unless I'm just like, what does a burn deck in Commander look like? And it's cool that you can go there and figure that out.
Yeah, I use it mainly for.
I do like finding a weird old card and being like, okay, how many decks is this in an EDH Rec?
Yeah.
Like, how smart am I?
No, I use it for trying to fill in some of the blanks. Like, if I'm building a deck and I just can't think of, my last 3 cards or something, right? I'll go there, fill in the blanks for it, or I'll see what new cards have come out and see like, oh, would this fit in any of the commander decks that I'm currently playing? You know.
Yeah, it's such an incredible resource, and
Oh yeah.
I really I think I go to just look at like, okay, show me Esper commanders and be like, all right, do I like any of these? No. All right, well, moving on. Esper is the one combo that has eluded me entirely. I can't figure out
Yeah, I
how
used to
build it
play
or enjoy
Esper.
it.
Yeah, I used to play Esper Aloro, just life gain shenanigans, but
Sure, yeah.
it just got too boring, too slow, and all that. Just
Yeah. There it really I think Azorius in particular really struggles to win in a multiplayer format. Like the win cons just feel like it may have something to do with the way I play or the way that I build specifically. I just, whenever I build those, it feels like you either have to do an infinite combo or like some sort of alternate win con, which
well, I think a lot of it depends
usually
on the
win by
commander
combo.
too, because
Maybe, yeah,
I have a Geist of Saint Traff deck, and
sure.
that's mainly Voltron build and all that, but that can, you know, if I give them like hexproof, indestructible, and you know all this stuff, I can win pretty quickly and all that. But
it may just be like I just haven't found the right thing yet.
Yeah, the other commander that I've been interested in building was one from Commander Legends, the Kanji. I want to do Bird Tribal. Azorius.
Oh, yeah.
Azorius Bird Tribal looks fun. So just get a bunch of birds and, you know, recreate Alfred Hitchcock's movie, The Birds.
Make it happen. Yeah. That card is awesome. That card, like, I looked at it and I was like, okay, so this is going in the 99 of a couple of things that I would build. I've really been interested in building a oh no, what's his name? The Jeskai Wall.
Oh, it's like
that
you choose your opponent's left or right or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So I really like Pramikon specifically as an aggro commander.
An aggro commander.
Because he protects you. So you play Pramikon and like you can be scary and only one person can hit you.
Ooh, I didn't think of that. Ooh. That's
so
smart.
The problem with aggro is that like you're scary fastest and then the whole table kills you. But if Pramikon can cover your ass a little bit, then maybe there's room.
Ooh.
So I was thinking about like a Pramikon Flyers type of thing, or just a Pramikon efficient creatures deck would be really fun.
Ooh, yeah, you got to let me know if you build that deck, because that sounds fun as hell.
Right? I know. It does look a lot like a couple of decks that I have already. So I think I'm going to put a list together and we'll see how spicy it is. But I really just want to play a couple of like the hexproof drawing Sphinx is insane, and I want to play that
sounds
card.
Fun.
So,
do you know of Benny Smith?
Yeah, of course.
I just had him on the podcast. We recorded a few days ago, and he was talking about building the new Rebecca, I think, commander.
Oh, Rebecca's awesome. Rebecca is one of my favorite legends that came out of Commander Legends.
Yeah, and the one where it just ends the turn. And when I first saw that card and I told him, and he explained to me,
Becca.
Becca. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah. He when I saw the card, I'm like, oh, this is crap. It just ends the turn. I'm like, what's so good about that? And then he started showing me all these cards. I'm like, oh, damn, like, you know, just all these. End the turn effects, like, oh, I'm gonna do act of treason against your big creature, end the turn. It's mine now.
That's mine.
Like, oh shit. Oh, it was.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things that you can do with Obeka. There's a lot of like bad cards that are good now. That, like they say, like draw 4 cards at your upkeep, discard your hand on your end step, and you're like, no. Like it's. There's some cool stuff you can do with Obeka for sure.
Yeah. The other commander that I'm excited to build something with is, oh god, what's his name? Yurlok, the Jun one.
Yeah, of the Scorch Thrash. Yeah. Yes.
Bring back mana burn. Give everybody extra mana.
I love
it. Give everyone all the mana they could want, and make sure you spend it all. If not, then you're dead.
Yeah, I love that it's overabundance.deck is like what it is. That's very
I
cool.
love the theme of it. Though the commanders that
Dan's putting together a Eurolock deck.
Oh, nice. Nice. The one commander partner pair that I'm excited to build the most, and it's not the most efficient one, but I just love the flavor of it, is Rograk and Falthus.
Great.
And,
These little guys.
I love them because I just think it's like a little kobold with his pet cat, and he's just gonna come and terrorize you.
The familiar cycle is so cool.
Yeah,
I love that there's like a horse and you get to pick who rides the horse. Like that's
right.
I'm on board. The flavor of it is really great. I've been just all over the place with what kind of decks I'm actually going to build out of Commander Legends. The only one that I've built so far is Rograk Chroma. I put together my deck from game nights.
Yeah, I haven't even touched. I haven't touched any of them yet. I'm looking at them right now at my desk, and I'm all like, I'll get to it eventually. I'll get there.
I know.
I have I want to do Averna Cascade.
Cool. Yeah, Averna's neat.
Yeah, and then oh my god, what's the Treebeard one?
Oh yeah, his name is Calfanor.
Calfanor. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Kolfanor.
Or Kolfanor.
C-O-L, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm so bad at pronouncing these names. I can't ever.
No, it's okay. I'm just trying to remember it. He's the Abzan guy?
Yeah. Oh, my kitty. And she's...
Yeah, our sweetie.
Yeah, her name is
Mine
Prim.
is running around here somewhere. Cute.
Primrose, after the Hunger Games character.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Yeah,
Mine is...
We've also got Katniss as well, too.
Cute. I have Scully, and people always ask me if there's a Molder, but no, she is flying solo these days.
Oh, was there ever a Molder or no?
No. Scully's my first cat.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so it's been fun. I think if I get a dog, it would be funny to name it Fox. I don't think I would name it Molder, but we'll see.
Yeah, you probably saw my orange one in the back there at some point.
Yeah.
Her name is Arya because she was my favorite character in Game of Thrones.
Of course, yeah.
And then my all black one is Katniss, and you'll probably never see her. Come on, Kat, stop.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Scully loves the microphone as well.
Yeah, she's a pain in the butt. Like, she bothers me all the time at work, and because I work at home and all that. It's like I'll be on an important meeting and just plop right in front of my keyboard, and I'm all like, come on, Kat.
Yeah.
But
Scully is she's a regular in our morning meeting. So everybody at CFB has met Scully.
Oh, that's right. You work at CFB now.
I do, yeah.
That's been
the last couple of months.
A designer for them? So what does that mean that you're a designer? Like,
yeah.
what do you exactly do, per se? If you can elaborate.
I put together... totally. I put together a lot of the campaigns. I put together a lot of like the web banners and the social media posts, and I've a lot of the images on the website. Like I did all the Black Friday stuff, and I work closely with another designer and just to put together. He does mostly video and web stuff, and I've done a lot of the just like banners in 45 different sizes. But it's fun. You get to come up with like, cute little jokes that you can use as advertising, and they all get run on our social media. So
that's cool.
It's been great.
That's cool. And you've been at that
fully from home. So
nice. And you said you've been doing that for a couple months now. Yeah, because I think I remember a
couple months. Yeah,
like you pinging Channel Fireball that one time or something. There was something you did on Twitter that I can't remember what though exactly.
I did a post about just getting the job. I think
maybe
was a
that's
big
what
one.
It was.
But
yeah.
But they definitely the reason I applied for the job was because my boyfriend from the Twitter post, like LSB was like, hey, we're looking for a designer, and I sent him my information.
Well, nice. So
yeah, I lucked out.
So I guess starting to wrap things up here, I know you've got something going on in about 25 minutes or so.
Yeah. We're playing a boxing league game. Yeah.
That's right. I knew you were streaming something EDH. Did you already build your deck for it?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I put together a it is Jessica and Malcolm, and it's pirates.
Ooh,
So
okay.
it's
Jessica's the planeswalker?
Yeah,
Jessica.
Jessica's the
Okay.
planeswalker. And Malcolm is whenever he or a pirate deals combat damage, you make a treasure token.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It's pretty fun. I just kind of opened everything you need to open to make this deck. Like I got the mythic pirate that gives you extra combats. I got the rare pirate that whenever a pirate enters, you grab something for a turn.
Did you get Hull Breacher too?
I didn't get Hull Breacher. He's the one that I was missing. But I did get I got Zara, and I got the uncommon one, and I got just all the the deck. It was just pirate box is what I opened.
Wow,
so
that's crazy.
Is it pirates? Yeah, and I'm opening Ixalan and Rivals, and I'll throw some more pirates in the mix. So.
Oh heck yeah! Oh man, that'd be really good.
It's fun.
That's awesome. So is there anything coming up that you want to tease? Because when this will come out, this will come out next Friday as of this recording, which would be December 11th. And we're recording on December 5th right now. So is there anything coming out that you want to tease or anything like that? Or?
Well, the first one will be out to patrons already, but we did a sort of special December episode for the Commander Sphere that we play D&D in Theros. And
nice.
Dan DM'd, and it was me and my buddy Mike Rosa, who's a comedian and a Magic player, and he plays a lot on Commander's Brew, if you ever watched Battle of the Brews.
Okay.
And Sheldon Menery played with us, so we played...
Cool. Oh, yeah, I do remember you guys teasing that. Yeah.
We played a one-off, and those episodes are going to come out over the next couple of weeks. The first one comes out December 7th to patrons, but all of those are going to be coming out right around the holidays. So if you want to be a patron, you can get access to all of those early, but keep an eye out for all of those episodes.
Yeah, and I'll have I'll make sure I have links in the show notes too for Command Sphere and all that if you want to check them out.
Yeah, please.
And where can people find you if they want to check you out online? Besides Twitter, is there anywhere else that you're on?
Twitter and Instagram is really the best way to do it right now. That's at Wachel Reeks. That is and that'll have the links to sort of everything you need to find. That goes to Commander Sphere, that goes to Better Than Heroes, and anything new that's coming up.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning for coming on chatting with me about.
Of course.
God, we chatted a lot about a lot of stuff.
We covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we did. It's like I said, I wish we could go longer, but I know you've got a stream coming up. And like I said, I am fully expecting when Magic Fest comes back that you, Jason Alt, Dan, whatever other Magic comedians there are out there, to start a stand up.
Find a corner somewhere.
Stand up, like Magic Lounge, something like that at the Magic Fest. So.
No, that would be fun.
But
I work at CFB. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, right. If they get back the whatever Magic Fest contract, I don't know what the heck's gonna happen. But if they do manage to get it back and bring back CFB events, put that in their ear.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
No, thank you. And you're welcome. And I hope you have a good day.
You too.
All right. Hey everybody, thank you all for watching the show and listening to the show as well too. Hope you all really enjoyed it. Thank you all for listening and watching. Really do appreciate it, and hope you really enjoyed the conversation with Rachel. Yeah, we did have a little bit of issues with lag. There was some delays during certain parts of the interview, but I mean, we're doing what we could do. It could have been an issue with Discord or something with my internet or her internet, something. I don't know. It wasn't too bad, though. There were certainly some parts where we'd be talking, and then I noticed she'd be a little bit behind, or she would respond to something I said a little bit, too late. And it's just technology, part of, not much we could do about it. So thank you all for listening, watching out there. Be sure to check out Command Sphere if you're not already, and have a great day.